Right, the long-awaited day in the history of Africa as far as opening up itself to trade with itself is finally here. 21st of March 2018, the day that African leaders, 26 of them as far as the information we have so far is concerned, will be putting pen to paper on the African Continental Free Trade Area that actually, in a nutshell, opens up markets to the 90% of locally produced products from each of the countries that are going to be signing this agreement. Now, what we know right now is that the leaders who are here have just walked into a closed door session that is expected to be followed by the official opening of the day's event, or actually the agenda. So what we know will be happening in this closed door session will be, one, the adoption of the draft agenda and draft program of work, and of course also the president of Niger, who is the leader of the African Continental Free Trade Area, His Excellency Mahamadou Issoufou, will be giving a report on the Continental Free Trade Area. Of course, in this report, we are expecting him to be telling his peers the findings as far as each African country is concerned, their concerns, the areas that probably were proposed for changes, and what generally the partners are thinking about this particular African Continental Free Trade Area. Also, there will be consideration and adoption of the African Continental Free Trade Area legal instruments. Of course, their legal experts have been working around the clock as far as ensuring that this agreement just is not an agreement that is on paper, but of course one that can be backed by the legal framework. Of course, an understanding that once the leaders append their signatures to this agreement, then this agreement automatically is domesticated. It now takes effect as the laws in their local countries. And of course, what we also know is that there is a provision for conflict resolution, whereby if a country that signed this agreement does not follow it to the latter, there is a committee, of course, that the country that is offended or feels that their rights were violated as far as this agreement is concerned, they can actually move their case and report this so that it can be looked into. Now, during this closed door session, what we know also is that there will be consideration and adoption of the draft assembly decision and declaration on the African Continental Free Trade Area. This is expected to take place for about 5 minutes, and this will be preceded by a photo session where the leaders who are in this closed-door session will be having a photo opportunity for that. And then later on at around 10 local time, then the opening ceremony is supposed to take place, and this will be followed by the African Union anthem and an opening statement by President Paul Kagame, who is the chairperson of the African Union. And later on, what we also know is that His Excellency Moussa Faki Mahamat, who is the chairperson of the African Union Commission, will be giving his opening remarks, followed by a statement by the president of Niger, who is the leader of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Mr. Mahamadou Issoufou. He will also be giving his opening remarks, definitely sharing in the concerns, the good news, the statements as far as the feeling is with the partners who are signing this agreement. Of course, later on there will be statements by the chairpersons of regional economic communities. We have the East African Community, we have COMESA, we have SADC. All this will be giving their statements as far as what they feel about this opening of the African markets, of course trying to boost inter-African trade. Now, what we also know in an interesting development is that in East African Community, we have President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is here, President Kagame, of course, of Rwanda, definitely being the host country. But it is interesting to understand or to hear that Burundi has actually written to the African Union Commission chairperson, trying to explain why his country is not being part of the signing of this major deal. What he says is that the reason is that they cannot be able to come to Rwanda because Rwanda is actually hosting what they feel or who they feel were behind the attempted coup that tried to actually oust the President Pierre Nkurunziza. So these are developments that are happening on this particular side of the continent as we look forward to the signing of this major deal.